Hi, welcome back to All the Way. Thank you guys for tuning back in for series number 3, titled Forgiveness. I'm going to break up the title to Forgiveness / being tested on what / who I was forgiving. So I'm just going to jump right in. Last year, I was faced with a scenario where I had to forgive my mom because she had exposed some truth about my father and why he wasn't in my life, and how she played a big role in that because she was so young, and it just it just played a role into like why he's not in my life and stuff like that. And so um, when she told me, like, part of the reason why my dad wasn't in my life, like, it caused me to separate from her for like 3 months, and I had to just really view the truth about him and her from different angles. And at first I was hurt, I was disappointed. Yeah, I was. And I couldn't believe that, like, I couldn't believe that my mom had played a role. Although it was a small role that I think that I can say now, it was just a small role, but at the time it was like so major to me because it's like, how could you have not thought of me not having my dad, like, you know? But then I had to look from the perspective of my father and why he made the decision he did. And then I had to just, I went from hurting and just being in pain to actually being able to have compassion and see it from their point of views as being children, because they were. My mom was not even 18 when she had me, so I had to see it from her end. Like, if a guy is not claiming your child and saying that he can't have children and all that, like, why would you want him? Why would you even want him to be in your child's life? So I understood that. And then, yeah, just my dad, I just had to try to see it from a different perspective on his end. But like I said, it took 3 months for me to like realize all that and break it all the way down to the point where I can go back and tell my mom, hey, yo, I forgive you, you know, and let's just move forward. And that's what we did. We went through separation. I had to heal. I had to recover, and then we went from there. So the next person I had to forgive, and I'm still doing, is myself. Because it's a lot of things that I have done that it's kind of like, I didn't think at the time that God could ever forgive me for doing. It was just like, that act was just so unforgivable. But God has grace and mercy to the point where it doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter if you keep doing it, like, He'll still forgive you. I guess I'll share some things that I had to forgive myself for. One will be allowing not all men, but one person in general. I dated him before the summer of last year, and it started off well. Like, in my opinion, it started off well, but after I lost my grandfather a year ago, and that whole transition of losing him and then not having that protection that he provided and not having that validation that he provided, it was like I lost a piece of me. So, like, when I entered this relationship, it was like everything that he had poured into me, it was just like, it didn't dissolve, like just go away, but it was just like hard to find those pieces and use them in the right areas. It was just like I didn't know how. And so I'll just try to like summarize the relationship. Basically, he wasn't abusing me physically, but he was abusing me mentally. And I'm gonna go more into detail by saying, like, he was willing to, like, hurt me so that he wouldn't be hurt, like, at the end. And although I knew that's what he was doing, it was like I still allowed it just to have company because I was grieving and I didn't want to be alone. So I had to, like, really take out the time to, like, after I broke up with him, I had to really take out the time and see why I allowed him to do this mental abuse for so long. Like, I've never been in a relationship like this before, and because I didn't take no mess, I didn't take no disrespect, I didn't take anything negative. Like, if he wasn't about growing with me without all my standards, all that, like, then you can go. But with this guy, he had no morals, he had no standards at all, he had no goals for himself. I don't know what he didn't have, but he didn't have a whole lot, and I allowed him not to have nothing. And while I'm allowing him not to have nothing, I'm pouring all of me into him, and then I'm left with nothing. So it was just like I had to step back and say, Aaliyah, why have you allowed yourself to be abused in this manner? And yeah, it came from a place of low insecurity. It came from a place of no one could love me the way my grandpa loved me. It was just like it was just like it was like I had to have a breakdown in order for me to be remade. I literally had to break. And I mean, everything about me, like, broke. Not just off of this relationship, but everything that I endured last year, like, it broke me. To the point where I literally had to start all over with my mindset. I had to start all over with the music I listened to. I had to start all over with just who I was in general, because a lot of what I went through as a child started to interfere with my adulthood. A lot of things that I accepted when I was a child started to play a major role in how I accepted things when I started to get older. And so I had to really do some self-reflection. I had to start dating myself again, going to the movies by myself, taking myself to go get my nails done, eyebrows done, doing things that made me happy. Yeah. So I'm going to go through the process of how I had to start to forgive myself, because I'm still forgiving myself. It's an everyday process. It's something that you just continue to work on so that you never have to go through it again and never have to face that again. So the process I went through was I wrote down each stage of my life where I had either allowed someone to abuse me or allow someone to mistreat me. Because abuse and mistreat, I mean, they play a role, but abuse is like way more negative versus mistreat. I had to just write it all down. I had to write down, when did you lose yourself, Aaliyah? Like, what age was that where you start accepting certain things that were just negative from people? And I had to just write down each age and what happened. Like, when I was 14, this is a time where my mom was in a relationship with my stepdad. So I was acting out by dating older men. Never had sex with them or anything. I was just hanging out with them, dating them, just to feel protected. So, like, I had to write down age 14, why were you dating older men? Because I wanted to feel protected. Why didn't you feel protected just alone with your mom? And it was because I couldn't receive the new role that my stepdad would play in my life. So instead of me just adapting to this new life change of having him as a stepfather, I was just like, I'm just not. I'm going to just go get someone for me, and that's going to be my protector. That's going to be this. That's going to be that. Because I couldn't receive the change that was going on. Another example was when I lost my grandmother, and I entered a relationship that I know darn well wasn't going to work out. But because he was familiar, because I dated him in middle school and high school, it was just like, I don't have to start all over. We don't have to play the get to know you game. It was just like familiar. And so although I already knew it wasn't going to work out, I still allowed myself to re-enter that relationship because I thought, since he knew me, since he's my age, maybe he can help me through this grieving process. But of course that didn't happen. He wasn't even there. He didn't even ask how I was feeling or none of that. But he did ask for sex, though. Tell you that much. He asked for that. Yeah. So I had to ask myself, like, why were you going back to familiar places when you know that there was nothing there for you? Like, although I went back to him, I knew that he wasn't going to be able to give me the comfort I needed. But I think the pattern between the age of 14 through, when I was my grandma, I think I was 21, the pattern that played a role in that was me not wanting to be alone, me wanting to feel protected, even if I knew that it came with this lacks of everything that I really needed. What I realize now is that he can give me what he didn't have. And what I know when I was 14, I know that older guy, just because he was older, I thought that he would have been able to pour into me a lot more, is that it doesn't matter how old you are. If you don't have things going right on the inside, you can't possibly pour anything right into someone else. Like, you can only give someone what you have for yourself. And if you don't have nothing going for yourself, you can't give nothing to that person. I mean, at all, whether it's positive or negative. So it was like, I noticed that there was a pattern after I had wrote down each stage of my life.